Welcome. It's Indisputable. I'm your host, Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today, breaking down news of the day. We have Yasmin, Aliya Khan will break down a lot of news today. Host of Global Thread Podcast, Rebel HQ contributor, all around remarkable individual. Top story of the day, a congressman has said it, a Republican congressman at that, Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, was likely involved in trying to overthrow democracy in the United States of America. Now, the way it reads, it seems as if this congressman actually has proof that Clarence Thomas was involved in trying to shred the US Constitution. Now, I said this on day one, that Clarence Thomas is compromised because of his own rulings that aligned with his wife, Ginny Thomas, but were contrary to everyone else on the Supreme Court, including every single conservative. I said that on day one. Now, this former congressman is saying the exact same thing. Now, according to him, he tried to blow the whistle, so to speak. I do not agree with his assertion. I will highlight this. Let's put up the picture of the happy couple. Yep. Clarence Damn Thomas and Ginny Damn Thomas. Question surfaced after Justice Clarence Thomas was the only member of the US Supreme Court to oppose the release of Mark Meadows' text messages. Who was Mark Meadows? Chief of Staff for Donald Trump. He opposed it. He said, no, this cannot be allowed, even though everybody else on the Supreme Court said, hey, Clarence, perfectly permissible here. There's no issue. It's an investigative body. They have the right to subpoena. He said they did not. There's more. He opposed the release of Mark Meadows' text messages in reference to January 6th. He said no. It turned out that those text messages that the justice did not want revealed had communications with his wife inside of those text messages. Former Representative Denver Riggleman, let's put up his picture. So Riggleman, Republican out of Virginia, wrote this in his new book that he thinks Justice Thomas is far more involved in his wife Ginny Thomas's 2020 election overthrow attempts. I have maintained, ladies and gentlemen, since the beginning of this entire saga, I have maintained that Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas were both co-conspirators in trying to overthrow democracy. As a matter of fact, that's precisely the reason why the January 6th committee did not want to involve Ginny Thomas, because they knew, the committee, that she would connect them directly to Clarence Thomas. There's more here. According to the congressman, Riggleman, who left the committee in April, okay? He left the committee in April, follow the timeline, included many of the text messages that had previously been released from Ginny Thomas, along with the note that he had a difficult time trying to get the House Select Committee to sound the alarm on her actions. Now, according to his book, he went directly to Liz Cheney. And according to him, Liz Cheney is the one who provided pushback, and it developed into an argument, a bad argument, according to him. Now, I do question, why is it that a sitting congressman, because at that time he was in office, why would the congressman not go to the chairman of the actual investigative committee? Why did the sitting congressman not release a press release independently of this committee? If he found evidence of this magnitude, that is criminal activity to the highest level. Now, many people may be shocked to know the US Supreme Court is the only court in the United States of America that does not have an ethical guideline or rules of conduct. The only court in the country that does not have an affixed rule of conduct guideline. The only one. All right. Supreme Court spouses, according to the congressman, Supreme Court spouses, he says, are typically low profile. Ginny's involvement with political groups had already led to questions about whether Clarence would need to recuse himself in cases with a political component. wrote Riggleman. If Clarence had been in the logs, it would be a much bigger deal than all that. When I began to suspect Jenny and Clarence had texted the Meadows, I put together a technical brief outlining how we might be able to submit the identifications. Okay. Riggleman, who left the committee in April, said all of this. He said, not only did I have a suspicion, I developed a plan, an investigative plan that would have exposed the identities connected to individuals in this text message thread. There's more. Representative Liz Cheney, who was the effective co-chair, in effect, the co-chair was technically vice chair. Liz Cheney called him to express concern that telling Americans that such an influential figure had gone full Q would not reflect well on their investigation. Cheney was worried it would turn the whole committee into a political sideshow and overshadow all the other work the committee was doing. The release of Riggleman's book has left the committee members furious over possible leaks after spending a year with so few. Riggleman persisted in pressing Cheney to tell Americans about the Thomases. Did you hear that last sentence? I need you to read between the lines. The congressman said, I pressed the committee to tell Americans about the Thomases. Not just Jenny, not just Justice Thomas, Clarence Thomas, but both of them. Congressman, what are you saying without saying it? There's more. Congressman Riggleman also said, some of the messages went beyond simply cheering Meadows on. It was legitimate for me to have concerns as to whether a Supreme Court justice had been involved in the legally questionable push to overturn the election. Was it possible that one of the country's 9 top judges was on board with an authoritarian interpretation of the US Constitution? The implications were overwhelming. Cheney found it all improbable. I think she still had more faith in the institutional GOP than I did at that point. Now, there are some people who are praising the actions of this congressman for coming forward. Let's be very clear. The congressman is trying to sell books. What he's saying is true, in my opinion, but he is trying to sell books. If he was a patriot of this country, so to speak, he would have sounded the alarm once he had the evidence to do so, but he did not. On Thursday, today, Politicos, Kyle Cheney reported that Jenny Thomas, the far-right activist and wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, will in fact testify virtually before the House Judiciary Committee today. This House January 6th committee today, excuse me. Thomas is known to have urged legislators in Arizona to block certification of Joe Biden's win in the state. Earlier this month, it was revealed she also did the same with lawmakers in Wisconsin. We already know what she did with members of Congress and Meadows, the chief of staff himself. I conclude that Clarence Thomas is involved directly, specifically, and intentionally. We will follow this story. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah, well, this is the obvious concern that most of us had when we learned that his wife was so deeply involved in planning the insurrection on January 6th in the first place. I mean, as you mentioned, she was texting the White House chief of staff on the day. The problem with that was it was just a concern that we had, but we didn't really have a whole lot of proof that Clarence Thomas was directly involved, apart from the evidence that you mentioned regarding his track record on the Supreme Court. And to be fair, a woman is obviously a separate entity from her husband, so the marriage doesn't necessarily incriminate Clarence, but the assumptions that he was unaware and unsympathetic to his wife's operations were always very unlikely. It was only a matter of time before something like this came out that would more directly link Justice Thomas to the insurrection. And the bigger problem here is that despite this doubt being cast over the judge's partisanship, he's still sitting on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and he can only be removed by way of impeachment, and that's really it. And here's the other thing, the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming in this situation. 100% of the time, Clarence Thomas has ruled in a way that perfectly aligns with his wife's political an activist ideology, even when it's contrary to every single conservative on the US Supreme Court. There's some there. We'll continue to update. All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, her hubby has now filed for divorce. All right, good for him. Let's put up the picture full mass here. Happy family no more. They were already separated, so to speak. Controversial Republican Congresswoman Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who once argued against welfare by asking, and I quote, "Why does a woman need to be married if she can be married to the government and get a government check?" Well, madam, you are the one who's getting the government check, and you will not be married in a few days. Is no longer going to be married herself. Perry Greene, her husband, 27 years in marriage, has now filed for divorce. According to documents obtained by TMZ, they've reportedly been separated for a while, but Perry's now seemingly looking to make it official. The two married in 1995 when Greene was 18, and while they were both attending the University of Georgia. The court documents cite that the marriage was broken. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a statement regarding the divorce to TMZ. It says, and I quote, "Marriage is a wonderful thing, and I'm a firm believer in it. Our society is formed by a husband and a wife creating a family to nurture and protect. Together, Perry and I formed our family and raised 3 kids, 3 great kids. He gave me the best job title you can ever earn, mom." Good for you. Possible cause for the split could be the ongoing rumors about her and I guess, wandering eyes. Here it is.
I gotta do one more thing. I always do this. I just love this guy so much. He's calling. Kind of go behind the podium. Yeah. He is. He's fantastic. This guy right here is great. Standing up in there in the mucky swamp. Diane always has him in the mucky swamp. Yeah. But it's amazing.
Maybe it's that. Perhaps it's her traveling around the United States of America with Matt Gaetz. Their, Make America Something tour, AKA the Cocaine and White Privilege tour. Also, the mother of 3 allegedly had an affair with somebody that wanted to be Macho Man Randy Savage, or whoever the hell he was trying to be in this picture. Calls himself the sex guru, Craig Ivey. Before moving on to gym manager Justin Tway, he's on the right, while working at a gym in Alpharetta, Georgia in 2012. Multiple examples of other extramarital relationships, allegedly. It wasn't a secret. Everyone who moved in her circles knew about both the affairs. One man who worked closely with Taylor Greene told DailyMail.com, and her boss, billionaire's grandson, Jim Chambers, added, "She socialized a lot with us. I remember one particular pool party where she was lying draped over Craig's lap, drinking a beer. She was quite open about it," he added. "We all thought her marriage was falling apart, but then I took my son to her son's birthday party and things seemed totally normal between her and her husband." It's called cheating, sir. That's what it's called, all right? That's what she was doing. Okay, even if they were a little lukewarm, neither man denied the affairs when approached by DailyMail.com. Well, there you have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who goes around bashing individuals who do not believe as she believes, but according to the narrative from Marjorie Taylor Greene, confirmed by multiple individuals and not disconfirmed by others, well, she doesn't believe what she says she believes. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah, I always feel weird whenever public figures, whenever their private lives are made public. But sometimes their private and public lives become conflated with one another, especially when it concerns political figures. So you have so many public figures that have a brand or a persona that they're always pushing in the media or on their social media. So whenever things like this come out about marriages falling apart, it lends to discussions regarding hypocrisy. With the Republicans, they're constantly going on about family values and how we need to protect the sanctity of marriage as a pillar of American society. And they love to demonize different communities for allegedly destroying the sanctity of marriage. Meanwhile, they're having affairs in their personal lives, and it doesn't really support their strong familial stance that they're trying to impose on people as a society through government legislation.
Very well said. I mean, according to her, if we brought back a theocratic government, she would have to be stoned right now, according to a theocratic guideline. Okay. We have a national news exclusive. You see that guy? He's a sheriff. He doesn't like black people. He was recorded calling them the black B word, all right? Let's go ahead and go to the first recording. This is the sheriff out of North Carolina, Columbus County. Here's the sheriff talking.
It's gonna be a new fucking day. I'm still the mother sheriff, and when I'll go there and fire my goddamn black. They think I'm scared. That's stupid. I don't know what else to do with it. So it's just time to clean them out. There's a snitch in there somewhere telling what we're doing, and I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna have it. So one thing I know to do is pull phone records and start checking. I ain't putting trackers on people, but phone records tell the deal. Yep. So just give them heads up. Hell's coming, I promise. As soon as I find out who it is, they ain't gonna lie. You in here and put your heads together tomorrow and see if y'all can figure out who it is.
All right. Have you talked to him?
No, I ain't talking to him.
Okay.
Have not. Not all day long. I'm gonna call him as soon as I get up on with you do.
Right.
But I've already called Verizon. That guy's gonna give me the records, and we're gonna go through them. Melvin Campbell, Lewis Hatcher, they fired. They're gonna be guilty by fucking association. You agree?
We don't need no snake, bro.
I ain't gonna have it. I'm gonna cut the snake's head off. Period. And Melvin Campbell's the biggest snake as Lewis Hatcher ever dared to be. Every black that I know, you need to fire him to start with. He's a snake.
This sheriff went on to say, "I'm sick of these black bastards," is what he said. Now, you know, the person recording him was actually a white man that he trusted, okay? I got more video, I got more recording, here it is.
What are they trying to say?
It's just all the time. But from 2 weeks ago, when I got from Melvin leaving up till now, when I see Melvin Campbell has called anybody, or anybody's called him, they're gone. Same with Lewis Hatcher. And it says Sabrina, whoever, they're gone. And I'm telling you, this is as fair as I can be. Just giving you a heads up, that's coming. When me and Boyd and Nancy go through it tomorrow, the first numbers we see, they ain't gonna make it, brother. I'm telling you.
The sheriff said, they ain't gonna make it, brother. Put up his picture full mass here. I got some work to do. You see that sheriff? He thought black people were out to get him. That's what he said. He called them snitches, snakes, and bastards. He also said if any person called a particular individual, talking about his political opponent, he was going to check their phone records and it would not be good for them. He said, and I quote, "As soon as I find out, it ain't gonna be good." Now, the person who was recording him was his own captain. While he's so damn paranoid about what black people would do, it was his captain recording him as he confided into his white confidant. Let's put up the picture of Jason Souls. But look at that. Jason is now running for sheriff against the same guy he recorded. I'll be damned. Columbus County, North Carolina. On one end of the phone was the Columbus County Sheriff, Jody Greene. On the other end was then Captain Jason Souls, who had just been tapped to lead the sheriff's office while elections officials investigated a complaint questioning if Greene was eligible to even serve as sheriff. Now I'm going to highlight some elements connected to his campaign where he may not even be the proper elected sheriff. Greene wanted to know who in the sheriff's department had communicated with Lewis Hatcher. Remember that name. Lewis Hatcher is the former sheriff whom Greene narrowly defeated. When I say narrowly, like 30 votes, okay? He narrowly defeated Greene in the election. And Melvin Campbell, a recently fired sergeant, both of whom are African American. In Greene's words, they had a snitch in the office. No, you had a snitch talking to you, sir. But he says, no, there's a snitch in the office leaking information to his political opponent who had sued to be reinstated until the election protests were resolved. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these black bastards, said Greene to Souls. I'm going to clean house and be done with it, and we'll start from there. The call between Greene and Souls took place about 2 months into what was a difficult start to Greene's career as a sheriff. Greene beat Hatcher in 2018 by just 34 votes at that time, when election fraud in this rural part of North Carolina was making national headlines. The results were protested, in part over concerns Greene did not actually live in Columbus County as required by state law. He'd also been improperly sworn in before the state certified the election results. He made them swear him in before the election results were certified because he knew good and damn well perhaps this could go in the other direction once they investigated his actual residential requirement. There's more. Souls, the captain who recorded him, who is now running for sheriff himself, said he was concerned, that he was very concerned that the most powerful law enforcement officer in Columbus County was racist and would not treat black people or black employees or the residents he policed fairly. The call happened late one night in early February 2019, trying to track down the source of the apparent leak in his office. Greene can be heard saying that he's contacted Verizon to get phone records to see if anyone in his department had made calls or received calls from Lewis Hatcher or Melvin Campbell in the last 2 months. Souls also told WECT, the local affiliate there, that immediately after his appointment was acting as acting sheriff, he began getting late night phone calls from Greene. So Greene calls the captain, who's basically serving as the sheriff interim while they resolve the election issue. So he's calling the sheriff who's acting in the position to complain about the black people around him. Late night phone calls. He said, and I quote, "This one particular phone call that I received, he made the comment that he hated Democrats. And then he said, I hate that black, I hate a black effing Democrat. And I knew right then I was like, wow, this is coming from the sheriff. And I had to start recording those conversations. So said of the moments before he hit record on his phone. Since taking office, what has this sheriff done? Because I know some people will push back and say, well, Doc, did he lead in a way that was adversarial to those in command, to individuals in that community, to people he worked with? Yes, he did. He led in a racist way, just like his phone call illustrates. Since taking office, Sheriff Jody Greene has made some significant changes to his staff. When Sheriff Hatcher was in charge, there were 2 African Americans on his command staff, Lieutenant Jeremy Barber and a captain named Clementine Thompson. Greene decided to demote Thompson within days of taking office and cut her pay by $10,000. She was later fired. Barber, formerly the department's lead detective, was demoted to the civil division. Greene's command staff, made up of his highest ranking officers, no longer has any minorities whatsoever, 100% white. Okay, now this is the reason why a lot of people don't like the police. Now, why did this recording come out? This recording came out because there was an attempt by Captain Souls and others to actually go through the normative channels, sound the alarm internally with members of justice in that local community, and none of them did a damn thing. Because of the inaction of other members of justice who should have launched an official investigation into this sheriff, because of their inaction, Souls and others made a decision to expose the nature of these recordings. I actually believe more recordings exist, to be frank with you, but we will continue to follow this story as it develops. Yasmin, you know the deal here. You have a racist chief executive in law enforcement governing in a way that's contrary to the progress and protection of the local community. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really sad to continually see stories like this, even after what this country's been through as far as race relations. And I'm not even necessarily talking about slavery or Jim Crow or the civil rights movement. I'm just talking about the last few years. I feel like people like you, Dr. Richey, are making the best effort to publicize and call attention to these people and to the systems that support and uphold them and protect them. But even with all of that national and even international attention, people like Sheriff Greene still exist. They're still employed as public servants and they are still unapologetic. Racism is a deeply held delusion held amongst deeply ignorant and simple-minded people. But we need to keep fighting against people like this, or at the very least, just keep them out of positions of power. And shout out to the white ally who played the long game, built a case against this guy and then dropped the evidence. Thank you.
Literally, his own racism brought him down. He believed that every black person was out to get him. And obviously he believed that these white people around him were for him. He thought they thought like him. He was wrong. All right, we got more on the other side. It's Indisputable, stick and stay. Welcome back. We have a lot of show left. Always good to be with you. Let me read some of these comments. Before I do that, let me remind everyone, coming up next, reactions. Test your knowledge on what's fake news, what's real news, all right? Reactions with Rayvana, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Tune in on twitch.tv/TYT. Okay. Next TYT reporter says, this hearing should be televised. I want to know what she is being asked. Yep. Lynn says, if it looks like a duck. Yep. Mickey C. the Silverhead Dragon says, divorcing Marjorie Q was the best decision he made in his life. Can you imagine waking up every morning and the first thing you see is her face? Eek. Yep. Okay, Shade Dragon, Justice Thomas, there are easier ways to get a divorce than making interracial marriage illegal. That is a hell of a point. Because that's what he said, basically, that now we need to, overturn the protection of marriage. All right. Brett Williams, member 4 months. Thank you so much, Brett. I wish there were giant, transparent, indisputable decals for rear windows on vehicles. Nina for POTUS, October 17th. I know you know I'm subscribed. Thank you so much for that, Brett. We appreciate you in advance. And let's do one more. Twitch. All right, it says Huffle Badger 22, when Melania divorces Diaper Donnie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Marjorie Taylor Queen, Trailer Queen is gonna swoop in like a hawk. You know she is. Okay. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're too free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Everybody else,
What did you say?
take a better picture. Take a better picture. Close the door.
That's assault. That's assault.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Touching my door is assault.
Hey,
Touching
cut me
my
off
door-
again like that, you ignorant little cow.
Touching my door is assault.
Matter of fact, I'm going to take a picture of your
Touching
license
my
plate.
door is assault.
And as a matter of fact, I've got you on my dash cam.
Touching
cutting
my
me
door
off.
is assault. Touching
You know
my
what?
door is assault.
You entitled little cow.
Touching my door is assault.
Touching my door is assault.
Okay. Touching
Who the
my door
you
is
really think
assault.
you're f***ing important, don't you?
Yeah.
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 Why is that? Because you're brown ass?
What? Because of your brown ass. Sir, are you okay? Now, I know in the description it says that she's the Karen. I don't know. I don't think so here. Maybe you disagree with me. He's definitely a male Karen, for sure, 100%. All right? Certified Karenicity moment. There's more video, here it is.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
I'm
why?
brown.
Yeah.
Touching my door is assault.
You ever cut me off again like that, you're going to have a serious
Okay.
problem.
Touching my door is assault.
Touching my door is assault.
Okay.
Are you a f***ing or what? Are you a
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Touching my
Down at
door is
Pepper Grove?
assault.
Hey, you already said that, you
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Touching.
Okay, looks like possibly a traffic dispute where this male Karen acted in a way that was ridiculous. We do not have his identity independently confirmed. We do have this full mask. Let's put up the picture. All right. If you know him, it is time for an intervention. Now, sir, I want to say this. Whatever the traffic dispute was, running up on a person, especially a woman, acting that aggressive, being that derogatory, that's a fearful thing, okay? You should conduct yourself better. But if you don't, we do hope somebody is recording and we will cover it on Indisputable. All right, Yasmin, thoughts here?
Oh, I muted my mic. Yeah, I mean, say touching my door is assault one more time, right? This feels like an excellent example of people just not knowing how to communicate with each other anymore. We don't know how to engage with each other, and we've just been reduced to parroting, legally questionable statements and calling people cows. And here we are.
Yeah, there you go. All right, should be interesting. I am interested to know what happened beyond that. Some people are saying he was a cop. Did not look like a cop uniform to me, looked more like a security uniform. Details are still coming in. Okay. Anti-Karens unite.
You screaming at employees in Walmart. Get out of here.
That's racist.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass.
I was trying to deliver a package when I encountered a wild Karen.
If you walk up to me, I'll push out you.
Go ahead.
What are you doing?
You're parking in a handicap
Shut
spot.
up. I'm just delivering packages.
No, you are parked.
Bro,
in a-
move.
I don't have to. You're on my property
Bro,
now.
if you don't get the out the way, I'll
Come
knock
on.
you the out, bro. Move. What's wrong with you?
Bitch.
You see, this is why we do this segment. We're trying to stop moments like that from happening. All right, this is a public service dynamic of this show. We have said, if this continues to happen, if individuals continue to do this, something like this was bound to take place. It's unavoidable. It's the law of statistics, right? So I don't like the fact of anyone parking in a handicapped zone. A pet peeve of mine. I broke up with a whole girlfriend because of things like this, okay? So I get that part. But connecting to an individual the way she decided to connect is not going to provide remedy. There's another video. Here it is.
Out the way out. Out, bro. What's wrong with you?
I mean, you know, it's a damn shame. Let's put up the graphic here, okay? All right. This is the picture of the anti-Karen delivery driver. There's a question, why did you delete the video? You did what should have been done is a caption that somebody wrote. And then you see the Karen on the ground. Once again, I do not condone violence. Public service announcement. Don't approach people in a violent and aggressive way. Let's just stop doing that. If you see somebody who has parked illegally, if you see an individual who may be committing a traffic violation, either A, let them know from a distance, or B, call 911 if you need to. If it's that serious for you, go ahead and call the authorities to enforce traffic laws. Stepping up to somebody, impeding their ability to move forward, getting in their face, acting aggressive, it may result in that. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's like you said, violence is never the goal, but consequences are a real thing, especially when you are needlessly provoking people and becoming aggressive with them and getting up in their faces and blocking their way. We're all on edge out here. Like, we need to just be nicer to each other.
Yeah, there you go. Well, say your piece from a distance, keep it moving, okay? We got more on the other side. It's Indisputable, stick and stay. Welcome. We have a lot of show left. Let me remind everybody, aspiration, all right? Big banks using your money to invest in things that you may not agree with. That's how it works normally for everybody, okay? Except those who sign up for aspiration. Real simple to do. You can go to aspiration.com/TYT. You can sign up now, aspiration.com/TYT. Let me read some of these comments. Good stuff. Scented Kerfuffle says that male Karen was lucky he wasn't shot. Travel Nurse Dragon, hey Karen, don't write a check. Your ass can't cash. That's right. You're thinking like myself now. Okay. Bill's Dragon circles the wagons. Gotta hear the story of how you broke up with a girlfriend because of a handicap space. That sounds like a Seinfeld episode. It really was. Yeah, she was horrible. She didn't tip. It was just bad. People that don't tip well, horrible people. Okay. $2 too. Thank you for that $2 too. Doc, that video of the Karen stopping the delivery guy should be nationally broadcasted to save these Karens from somebody's hands. It's a public service announcement. All right, that's what it is. Okay. Natural Born Keeler gifted one Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey memberships. Thank you so much for that, Doc. Shade Dragon was gifted a membership by Natural Born Keeler. Okay, Shade Dragon, boom, there you are. You're in. Good, glad to have you. Okay, what if I told you? What if I said a cop shot and killed a black male who only separated a fight, was not the cause of it? He misinterpreted the situation so bad, he ended up killing the man who was the good guy. Here's the video.
You going to do good?
Yeah.
Huh? You doing good?
Yeah, stand right there. Do you understand me?
Hey, what's going on?
Stand right there.
You doing good?
Yeah, you're gonna stand right there, okay? Do you understand me? Stand right there.
I hope you have a good night tonight. Okay. I'm sorry about the broken glass right here.
You did this?
I didn't do this, but he tried to like wrap me up.
Okay, well go ahead and turn around for right now, okay?
I'm not trying.
No, you're not. You gonna turn around?
this a guy?
I can't be detained right now.
You're gonna be detained.
I can't be detained right now.
You're gonna be detained.
I can't. Hey.
You're gonna be detained.
Hey,
You're gonna be detained. You're gonna be detained. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back now. You're gonna get tased. Do you understand me? Put your hands behind your back.
Hey, that was uncalled for, bro.
Get back. Get back. Get on the ground. Now. Get on the ground. 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 Get back. Get back. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Put your hands on your back.
This coward cop shot and killed a man who should be alive. Let's put up the picture of Mr. Jonathan Price, who was shot and killed. Last week, a former Texas police officer now, he was current during the time of this killing. This Texas cop was actually acquitted of a black man's murder. The man was still alive but bleeding out, remained on the ground as the officer handcuffed him as he took his last breaths. That man is Jonathan Price. He is no more. He is dead. He was shot and killed almost 2 years ago while unarmed at a convenience store. Why was he there? He broke up a fight. There was a domestic dispute between a man and a woman. He decided to break up that fight to protect the woman, to provide cover, a barrier. He was a good man. He didn't have a gun. He didn't have a weapon, but he had heart. He stopped the domestic altercation. Price was a football star, well known, well liked, worked for the city government. Let's put up a picture of the man who killed him. Hunt County, Texas, jury found 24-year-old Wolf City officer Sean Lucas not guilty of Mr. Price's murder. However, that same cop was fired after the incident. That same cop was charged quickly with the murder of Mr. Price after a preliminary investigation determined, members of law enforcement determined that cop committed murder based on their investigation. Lucas was 22 at the time, became an officer with Wolf City 6 months prior and was new to the town. The irony of this, the man shot and killed a fellow city government colleague. There's more. Lucas was responding to a report of a disturbance and a fight in progress at a store in October 2020. Mr. Price, who was 31, greeted him, even tried to shake the officer's hand. Lucas thought Price was drunk and attempted to detain him, but Price told him, and I quote, "As you see, I can't be detained," according to the affidavit. Officer Lucas continued to attempt to detain Price by grabbing Price's arm and using verbal commands, which were both unsuccessful. The affidavit says, Lucas told Price he would be tased if he did not comply, and Price began to walk away. But he wasn't just tased, was he? He was shot and killed. Now remember, what's the reason this police officer assumed that the good black man was the criminal black man? Did you see how many people were there present at the scene? Did you see how many individuals were there who tried to protect this black male, who tried to provide cover for him, tried to explain to the officer what's happening? The officer, as soon as he arrived, he knew exactly who his target was because of his own bias, because of his own implicit and hyper-aggressive bias against black men in particular. He believed upon arrival that the black male was the one who was the criminal, and he was not. The only criminal was the person fighting and you, the officer. That's it. Lucas used the taser, but the device was not fully effective. Price continued to walk toward Officer Lucas, which is in the affidavit, while being tased. According to the affidavit, Price appeared to reach out and grab the end of Officer Lucas's taser, and Lucas shot him 4 times in the upper torso, the affidavit states. Lee Merritt, whom I know well, let's put up a picture of Lee Merritt, the attorney. Lee Merritt, who is working on another case I'm connected to currently. Lee Merritt is representing the Price family, said he is appealing to the Department of Justice, the DOJ, to intervene and to bring federal criminal charges against this officer. I join my brother Lee Merritt in that proclamation. In a statement to CNN, Merritt said, and I quote, "Sean Lucas was acquitted in rural Hunt County, Texas by an all-white jury. At the time of his murder, he, Price, was unarmed and did not pose a threat to anyone. Every law enforcement professional that reviewed the facts concluded Lucas' use of force was unjustified. The jury's verdict goes against the weight of the evidence and leaves Black Texans exposed to state-sanctioned violence." Now, there's no issue of jurisdiction. Double jeopardy does not apply to another jurisdiction. The federal government can pick this up at any time. They can prosecute at any time. That's exactly what needs to happen. Remember, every single law enforcement agency that reviewed this case agreed what happened there was murder. It was murder. We're going to continue to follow the story, see if the DOJ will pick it up. So sad. Good man, good Samaritan, good actions, bad result because of a racist ass cop. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah, whenever stories like this come through the news cycle, there's a lot of parsing through details in comment sections and on social media and even on shows like this one. But while these individual cases are helpful in highlighting some of the goings on in police departments and in other public systems, it's impossible for every case like this one to be given the same amount of public scrutiny and internal scrutiny. This case is likely one of many similar cases, and that isn't meant to be dismissive. It's meant to emphasize that lives are destroyed over incidents like this one, and most of the time, little or nothing is done about them. Every person who knew and loved Jonathan Price was and still is affected by his death. Will any of those people or people in similar situations ever get justice? We'll have to see.
Very well said. We're going to continue to follow this story as it develops. All right, an update to a story we brought you. Remember the landlord who decided to basically threaten the life of a young college student inside of his property? We have more information. That landlord has now been arrested, okay? Here's the first video.
What is it?
Have you ever seen one of these before?
I've seen one of these.
You know what it is?
I know what it is. Well, you're gonna threaten me with it?
No.
Okay then.
I just want to make sure you know it's here. You're really stupid. I would protect myself.
Why would you protect yourself?
Why would I protect myself?
Yes. Did I threat you?
I have the right to protect myself.
Did I threat you? Why? What if I don't? If I go to the kitchen, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot me?
We'll see what I do. I didn't threaten to shoot you.
But you said if you go to the kitchen and you have the gun with you, what are you gonna do?
If I have the gun with me, maybe you should figure it out.
So
you think you're so smart?
So you're gonna shoot me?
You figure out what I'm going to do.
What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me?
I didn't say that. I said figure it out. Figure it out.
Okay, I'll figure it out. So go to the kitchen.
What?
I will still go to the kitchen.
Very dangerous situation. Once again, the landlord has now been arrested. We have more video. Remember when I first reported on this, the local authorities refused to arrest him, citing that what he did not rise to the level of an arrestable offense. After we covered it, we now have an arrest. There's more video, here it is.
Why would you defend yourself?
Because you might be a terrorist.
Why are you saying that I'm a terrorist?
I didn't say you're a terrorist. I said you might be a terrorist.
Now you're saying that.
So make sure you know I have a gun here.
So you're the one with the weapon now.
And it's loaded.
So what?
So you know now that I'm willing to defend myself.
Defend yourself.
Do I seem scared of you?
I don't know. At all. And you cannot scare me.
Well, of course you want to go to hell. You don't care about hell.
Yeah, but like I told you, if you want to make it easier, give me my money back. I will leave. If you want to make it hard, I will stay. We have 4 months agreement. If you want to scare me with your gun, I'm not scared.
Just want to make sure you know it's here.
So what? So what?
So you better behave yourself.
What would I do?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't trust you anymore. You understand that? You already lied to me, so you may be a thief and you may be here as a terrorist.
Okay, here's the thing. I got more video. Before I go to the video, let's show the mug shot of this landlord. 68 years of age, Philip Young was arrested by the Denton Police Department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after an investigation into this September 9th incident involving Young and his tenant. It was on September 27th that detectives obtained a felony warrant, and on yesterday morning, Young was arrested without incident. Young is now out on bail. Let me give you details of the incident per the press release, okay? On September 9th, officers were dispatched at 12:42 p.m. to a civil disturbance. Young reported that his tenant was attempting to use the kitchen of their shared residence without having paid for kitchen privileges. Kitchen privileges. Officers spoke with both parties, then left determining no criminal offense had occurred. Here is the video of that conversation after the first police visit.
I guess I better get the immigration authorities to check it out.
Okay.
Because I think you're a safety risk in this country.
Am I?
Anybody who only cares about himself and is willing to go to hell is a safety risk.
So
if you don't fear God and you don't fear hell,
what do you want now?
I want you out of here.
I told you, give me money, I leave. Like the police said, you cannot evacuate me.
Well, then we'll just stay here and share the house.
Okay, that's good.
See, you know you're getting a good deal here, don't you?
I am getting a good deal now. You said that.
And you're trying to get more of a deal, right?
You just said that I can share the house. You just said it.
Yeah, but you're not going to enjoy it.
You're not going to enjoy it either, I guess.
That's right. Neither one of us will. Obviously, you're headed to hell. It's okay to go to hell. You know what it feels like to burn? You know what I'm going to do?
Just stay away from me.
I think I'm going to invite some white supremacists into my home because you need to get roughed up some. You've apparently never been spanked or anything. You think you can get right in people's faces and tell them what you're going to do.
So you think you're going to spank me?
No.
Okay, then.
It's too late for that. You're already a spoiled brat.
What kind of landlord is this? You can't use the kitchen unless you pay him extra money. He wants to illegally evict and still not even return the money of the prorated rent that you're not using if you leave. And then says he's going to invite white supremacists over to torture you as a tenant, which says he knows white supremacists, by the way. He knows them, he can call them. Pulls out a gun, threatens to use it if you come to the kitchen to get water or food in the refrigerator, to microwave something. Once again, initially the police said, no crime here. They have changed their tune. 4:39 p.m. that day, 4:39 p.m. that day, okay? That day, officers were dispatched to the same residence when the tenant reported Young was threatening him with a gun. Officers spoke with both individuals separately upon arrival. The tenant reported that Young was holding a handgun and warning him not to go into the kitchen. Young, the landlord, denied threatening the tenant and refused to allow officers to see or secure the firearm. The tenant initially told officers he did not want to press charges. The officers determined probable cause could not be established on the scene, which was a lie. And I said that was a lie in my original reporting. The parties agreed to separate and the case was referred to detectives. We reported on that. The detectives upgraded it, made it a chargeable offense. Detectives reviewed the case, interviewed both parties. Here it is. The tenant advised Young's actions placed him in fear, and he felt threatened and would assist in prosecution if charges were filed. Young told detectives that he did not intend on shooting the tenant during his interaction. However, in an email sent to detectives on September 26th, Young admitted he did think about shooting the tenant during the September 9th incident. What is he thinking about shooting the tenant for? Using the damn kitchen. All right. I'm glad that we were able to get some traction with this story. This is insanity. Nobody should be treated this way. It is adversarial to common sense as well as common treatment. We are glad that some element of justice has now been allocated to the young man who experienced this aggressive criminal behavior. And now this person has been exposed to the rest of the world. Yasmin, thoughts on this?
Yeah, Texas, it's wild out here. And in this particular case, I mean that in the worst possible sense. Yeah. This guy sounds and seems unstable. And I think you have to be a little unstable to be waving a gun around in someone's home while gaslighting them for feeling threatened and while simultaneously playing the victim. The argument that he's using is one that often comes up in gun debates. And it's the idea that we need to protect ourselves, other people who may also have guns. Maybe they don't, maybe they do, we don't know. So we have to stay armed just in case. We've created a situation amongst ourselves where we don't trust each other, whether or not that distrust is justified or if it's rooted in bigotry like it is in this case. So the pro-gun default is to just arm everyone. And the minute we introduce deadly force into a situation, we lessen our ability for people to communicate effectively with one another. And in this particular situation, you see that on display. He's talking all kinds of racist smack against this woman, saying things like she needs to be roughed up by white supremacists, and she can't even respond effectively because who knows what he'll do if she says something that he doesn't like. In Texas, the gun laws are so ridiculously lax that feeling threatened by guns, even in a public space, it's simply not a thing that the government is concerned with.
Yeah, and we cannot neglect to mention that Texas and their pro-gun culture did not play a role here. There's no way in the hell police officers can leave a scene like that and say no probable cause was established for an arrest. Probable cause is the lowest dynamic in the evidentiary ladder. Probable cause can exist when a person says, hey, here's what happened to me. Okay, we got probable cause, we can investigate now. All right, we got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay. Welcome back. Let me read a couple of your comments. I'm a little pressed for time. A very stable photographer says, at no point was that man a threat, talking about the black male who was killed for breaking up a fight. That is correct, I agree. Thank you so much, Andrew. Spread the love and positivity in these wild times. Truthfully, we all need a foundation. Why love and understanding to allow for growth, refuse to retrograde. Thank you so much for that message. Safikon, they need to add hate crime to the charges. Talking about the landlord who threatened the student. I agree. It should be a heightened element to that. Okay. Damn shame. New Jersey cops caught on camera beating up a teenager. They had no idea they were being recorded. Let me take you to the video. Here it is.
In the garage, in the garage, garage. What do you go? What do you go? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. In the garage, Head on, don't touch me. Hey, head on, go ahead. You can touch me. I'm not doing that. No, you touch me. Here's head on. 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 Don't touch me. Now tell me, give me your badge number. Give me your badge number.
That's called a violent arrest. Let me give you the rest of the background. Put up a picture of this teenager, full mask here, okay? Paterson, New Jersey Police Department is now under fire. Hanif Booker, 19 years of age, of Paterson, he was arrested for resisting arrest and allegedly assaulting a cop, which tells you they had no other reason to actually have contact with Mr. Booker. He wasn't arrested for something else. He was arrested for resisting arrest. How can you be arrested for resisting arrest when you were not under arrest in the beginning? He was booked into the Bergen County Jail and denied bail. Denied bail? Yeah, denied bail. Murderers get bail. Drug traffickers get bail. But not this guy, this teenager, obviously. Can't give him bail. And currently Booker is waiting for a court date to be set. His brother was also arrested and charged with resisting arrest. Arrested for resisting arrest when he was not under arrest for anything else. Booker, who has no adult criminal record whatsoever, sustained a fractured nose and injuries to his skull and pelvis, but was not treated immediately. His injuries were addressed 4 days later. 4 days later. Booker and many of the youth in his community attended an end of summer block party. It's a kid party. It's a teenage party. It's what they do. Around 8 p.m., members of the Paterson Police Department showed up to answer a noise complaint, asking the organizers to see their permit for the jam. The organizer showed the officers his city-approved permission contract. We did everything by the books. The organizer, who asked to speak anonymously out of fear of police retribution, said. 40 minutes later, the entire event was shut down. Mr. Booker's cousin, Melissa Sanchez, explains what happened next. She said that she and Booker, all right, that she and Mr. Booker were leaving a local store when they saw police questioning another relative at a traffic stop on Sparrow Street. The family member happened to be Booker's brother. And so the two went over to see what was going on. Officers allege they pulled the brother over because he made an illegal U-turn and was driving recklessly. Now remember, they didn't arrest him for this. This is their claim to justify the contact, okay? There's more. There was a crowd of about 150 people or so. Booker allegedly walked, yelled out to this crowd, to the officers. What did he do? He said, what did he do? The cousin recalls seeing how unsettled he was after he posed the question. Sanchez says she tried to de-escalate her cousin's rising anger, pulling him away to a nearby garage. She's engaged in the act of de-escalation, the cops are not. However, as they walked away, someone from the crowd threw a bottle at one of the police officers, prompting 3 of them to respond. The PPD's arrest affidavit identifies Booker as the one who threw the bottle, claiming it hit one of the officers in the head. The report further states Booker ran into an open garage and was followed by 4 cops who followed him to arrest him. Booker, according to police, resisted the arrest. He resisted the arrest, kicking and screaming as they tried to secure him. The affidavit states, remember, the affidavit states that the young man pushed himself off the garage wall into them. The report admits that an officer elbowed Booker after telling him to stop resisting, and that another one pepper sprayed him so that his colleagues could get him to the ground. After he fell, officers still could not get him handcuffed because he placed his hands under his body, according to the affidavit. This caused one detective on site to hit him in his upper chest area in an effort to force his hands from his back. They're justifying their extreme use of force. This was the only way, according to them, they could get him under control and take him into custody. The police report of the incident is radically different from what other witnesses of the arrest said. Some witnesses dispute that Booker threw the bottle. Others claim some of the bystanders were injured as a result of the police failing to de-escalate the situation. So literally what's happening, you have witnesses who are saying on record, no, Mr. Booker did not throw a bottle. Mr. Booker was not the aggressor. Mr. Booker had done nothing criminal, okay? You have the police who are using it as justification for their engagement with Mr. Booker. Police reports are so universally not believed that judges do not allow them in a court of law. You cannot present a police report as evidence during a trial. They are not believed, they are not credible. Let's put up a picture of the chief of police here. Buck stops with him. Patterson Police Chief Bakora is the individual who currently protects the officers and their identities. Damn shame. Teenagers, once again. All right, Yasmin, thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is so sad because I remember events like this when I was in school, and honestly, they can add a lot to your grade school experience. And I feel so sorry for these kids who can't go to school in a safe environment, especially when you already have enough to worry about in high school. Incidents like this one, apart from the obvious horror that they inflict on teenagers, they can have such a negative impact on mental health. It's infringing on any feelings of security or stability that these kids might have in their lives. And they're having to worry about and deal with things that they should never have to worry about or deal with. We're trying to incessantly police people's behaviors when the reality is that we can't, at least not to the extent that pro-cop and pro-prison lawmakers seem to think that we can. And we know we can because we've never been able to do so. It doesn't matter how many people we throw in prison to get them off the streets. The streets are always gonna have people on them, and we're always gonna have disagreements between people. We'll never get to this mythical utopia that people in power seem to think is attainable, but I think that they probably just keep pushing for something unattainable because they know it's unattainable, but as long as they keep up this tough on crime rhetoric, they can flex to their constituents that they're contributing to the discussion.
What we're seeing literally, cops more concerned about ego than justice, more concerned about their potential offense than about actually obtaining a just result. Right. That's the problem. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. All right, welcome back. Imagine you're at a bar, you have a disagreement with the bartender. Bartender decides to throw a chemical in your face, creating permanent damage to your eye. This is exactly what happened to a black female at a bar. We got the background. That bar manager has been fired. Here's the video. Okay. There's a verbal back and forth. No justification for that, however, whatsoever. None. Unbelievable. Now let me give you the update to that story, okay? Let's put up the picture of the young black woman who was the victim that day. This actually happened August 16th. It was a dispute between a manager and a customer in a Greenfield, Wisconsin restaurant that was caught on camera. Surveillance shows the customer pushing away food before raising her arms as she talks to the crab de jour manager while she's at the end of the bar. The manager claims that she called him an anti-Asian slur, which she denies, and there are no witnesses to corroborate his version. Whatever was said, that's when he turns back and throws the drink in her face and tells her to leave. Then you see the customer shoving condiments and throwing a chair. She is reactionary. The manager has now been fired. Her name is Maria Luckett. Says lemon, salt, and alcohol cause chemical burns to her eye. The dispute began when Ms. Luckett complained about the food being cold and ill prepared and requested that it be fixed. The manager then told her to leave and claimed to the police that Luckett refused to pay. which she also denies. In footage obtained by CBS 58, Luckett is seen visibly shaken in an ambulance. Yeah, the ambulance had to be called. Her eye was authentically damaged. This was not her putting on. Luckett panicking and saying, "My eyes burn. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?" The EMTs answering her said, "We're going to flush your eyes out." Her eye was flushed repeatedly, but the incident has left her traumatized with an injury to her eye that has not cleared up. As Luckett was taken to the hospital, Greenfield police said they spoke with the manager. His name is Jason Doing. In body cam footage, this manager told police, and I quote, "You know, I throw something at her, then ask her to leave." Well, sir, that is admission of criminal assault. All right, that's what that is. Doing said, "Water." The officer said, "Water?" ? Doing told police he's been having trouble with customers trying to get free food. Luckett and a friend had ordered king crab legs, then sent them back saying they were cold. Like soon as we waited and then we got our food, it was not right. Neither one of us took more than one bite, said Luckett. Luckett on why she threw the chair. Quote, "My instinct." She said it was my instinct when she threw the chair. "My instinct was to protect myself. How can I get this man from coming towards me? This man just assaulted me. How can I get him to stop?" Isn't it interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that she was basically forced to answer that question? Well, madam, why did you respond? Why did you react? Why did you throw the chair? Let me tell you something. You throw some alcohol in my face, I'm throwing more than a chair at you. He's lucky that's all he got was a chair thrown at him. It's a damn shame she had to be forced to answer that question. Doing was fired, all right? And the police cited him with disorderly conduct. But Luckett wants to see Greenfield's crab du jour shut down. She is also pursuing legal action. We will update you on that legal action as it comes. Thoughts here, dear sister?
Yeah, for anyone who's ever worked in the restaurant industry, you know how short your fuse can get from just having to deal with customers all the time. But for as much sympathy as I usually have for restaurant workers, this manager is an exception. It doesn't matter how terrible the customer allegedly was to the manager, allegedly, because as you mentioned, his claims haven't been corroborated by any witnesses. You don't assault customers or anyone for that matter. I also liked his explanation that he threw a drink at her and then asked her to leave. Should have done the latter first.
Yeah, and here's the thing. His credibility is shot to hell because it has been confirmed by the EMT, the emergency medical technicians. It was not water in her face. It was in fact alcohol mixed with lemon. So him saying to the police that it was water has already decreased significantly his own credibility in the matter. Always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, you can find my content over on the Rebel HQ playlist through the Young Turks. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. My handle is YazK with 5 Z's, YAZZZZK.
Beautiful, always a pleasure. Okay, remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable. Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richey. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.